Hey, Mike here. So today we are going to go over a question posed by one of our Patreon members. He asks, can you create a complete sample on how to use text generator on a bigger Obsidian page where I want to use either a small paragraph as input or the complete page? In case of a paragraph, I would either use a prompt template to correct syntax/orthography or to create additional content. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. For today's example, we are going to be using this note that I wrote up on stoicism. As you can see, it's a pretty lengthy note. It's roughly 400 words or 3,000 characters, as you can see on the bottom right-hand corner. And to demonstrate text generation that can assist us in things that we want to accomplish, I will first be generating text using nothing more than the built-in generator. We're not going to be incorporating templates. We will do that in the next example right after this. To start things off, let me show you how I have hotkeyed generation to my Command-Shift-G button. We're going to hop into Settings, go into Hotkeys, and search for Text Generator. As you can see here, I already have a few hotkeys paired with specific text generator actions. I generate titles with the Command-Shift-T for title. That's how I remember it. I generate text with Command-Shift-G for generate. I also have a few other hotkeys set here, but I don't use them. I just set them up to test them out. The ones I use on a daily basis are these two: generate a title and generate text. Another important thing we should go over are the text generator settings themselves. I've made a small tutorial series on this already, but let's just go over them just to make sure that you have everything set correctly. Obviously, you should have your API key from OpenAI set. I like to utilize the GPT-4. My max tokens are set at 500. Temperature is at 8.3. I've lowered the frequency penalty because sometimes I do like to generate text that has repetitive features within it. For example, numbered lists or anything really that requires repetition. I have streaming enabled because I like to see the generation as it progresses. That way I can stop it if I think that it's generating incorrectly or results that I don't want. Here is the prompts template path that I have. When it comes to considered text, I just have everything on because in my experience, the more context, the better the result. I don't find the auto suggest worth keeping on. The results have never impressed me. They've never been really useful. I've used this for around 2 weeks and I've never had results that have proven this feature to be on a good decision. Again, here, when we move down to the options, I just have everything on. I don't find the need for the generated text to be put into my clipboard. This has messed me up more than one time, or I've had something that I want to use within my clipboard, but the generation that I've made previously has taken its place. So that's why I have this off. The most important part here to have enabled is the modal suggest. That's how the menu that you see when I do the / pops up with all of my templates. My advice when going into your settings here is just to turn everything on, and then when you experience a feature that you don't like, then go in and turn it off. All right, now let's get into the actual generation here. So when I am generating without a template and I just want to generate something very quickly, I like to create such a structure that I would expect a teacher's assistant to understand and complete. The more clear the instruction set, the better the results. So what I always do is I start off with one simple word: objectives. Now I can outline exactly what I want the generation to be. For this example, I want nothing but the most important parts of this note labeled out in bullet point format. As you can see, this note is far from bullet point format, so that's what I'm going to task the AI to do for me. And as I just mentioned, I'm going to speak to it, or type to it rather, exactly as I would to an assistant. One way that I remember how to keep this in mind is, instead of calling it artificial intelligence in this case, I call it assistive intelligence. Now all that's left before we start generating is writing out the directions. Create a bullet point rundown of the most important parts of this note. Keep bullet points short, concise, grouped by category, and bold any special terms that may be useful to look into in the future. So as you can see here, not only am I tasking this assistive intelligence to create a bullet point list, but I am telling it to make short, concise bullet points grouped by category, and further tasking it with bolding any special terms that I may want to make separate notes of in the future. Now let's put a new line here and do our hotkey combo of Command-Shift-G. And we should start seeing generation in real time. As you can see, we have a nice bullet point system. Important terms are being bolded. Let's move down a little bit as it generates here. And there you go. That is what it has generated. Now let's see how quality this truly is. Has it created a bullet point rundown? It has, of the most important parts of the note. From what I can tell, it has gone through each category and relayed the most important information from it. So that is checked as well. They're short and concise. They're somewhat grouped by category, though we will fix this in just a moment. And special terms are bolded. It seems like everything that we have wanted it to do is done except for the grouped by category portion. Again, we are going to treat this assistive intelligence the same way we would treat an assistant. I'm going to get into a new line, and this time I'm going to do a simple fix. You didn't sort them into categories. Please rewrite them and sort them in categories. Now let's generate once again. And this time, as you can see, it is putting the bullet points, the same ones that it just created here, in specific categories. So there you go. All of this text has been generated thanks to just a simple clarification. And now what I can do is I can delete all of this all the way up until my objectives that I wrote. And now I have a nice clean bullet point list, beautifully generated by the AI. One thing to keep in mind is that, as you can see in this little bar here, my max tokens that I had set while I was doing this generation was 500. If I had this set to 5,000, the result would have been much, much longer. It would have still been a bullet point list, but it would have had many, many more bullet points. The more max tokens that you allow, the longer the leash of how far the AI will be able to generate is. So again, if you are looking for something short and sweet, just like the bullet point list that I just generated is, 500 is more than enough. If you are looking for multiple paragraphs of text, then 5,000 would be a good choice. One thing to keep in mind is that if your generation fails, 99% of the time, it's due to token limit. If you have a document that is 10,000 words long and you try to generate an additional 5,000 tokens, it's not going to let you. So again, this max number of tokens is up to your own discretion. 500 has always worked well for me. I don't like to generate too much text, and whenever I do generate text, I prefer it to be short and concise. So now that you know how to use the default generator, we're going to pivot over and use a custom-made template. It's quite simple, really. You have the prompt, which is going to be whatever instructions that you put in, and then the context, which is, of course, the entirety of your document. Now, to see what this looks like, we're going to invoke the / here and type in custom, and you can see it right here, generate with custom data and instructions. And before we fill this out, I forgot to mention that in order to get this template, you can either download it off of my Patreon, which is in the templates section, or you can copy this over as you see it on the screen right now. Make sure to pop it into your text generator / prompts folder. But yeah, continuing from where we left off here, / custom, we click the gencustom.md, and now you have two text boxes, one of them empty, of course, because this is where you're going to put in your instructions, and the other one is the context of your entire document. As you can see here, the title is included. You can decide to either keep this or remove it, and then as you move down, you can see that this is the entirety of the document itself. One reason to use this custom template over regular generation, as we just did, is if you want to generate text for a specific portion of your document. Let's say that from all of this text, I only want to generate something from the core tenets and practices portion. So I will delete everything above this by command delete, and it will delete, while I hold it down, everything above it. And then let's go down to right before the next section begins, key virtues, and I will select everything from here on down by doing command shift down. It selects everything, and I can just click the delete button. And now, as you can see, I have removed everything except the core tenets and practices portion. So from here, I can put in any instructions that I want. Let's do something silly like create 2 haikus from the context Again, this is something silly, but I'm just showing you that the possibilities with this are truly endless. You can format the document in any special way, rewrite it with any particular instructions that you can come up with, and truly morph existing text into something unique. So now all that's left is to click the generate button. Now, as you can see, when you use a template, it doesn't show you the live processing, aka the live streaming of the text. This is the haiku that was generated from the text. Those are two quite beautiful haikus. Again, this was just for example purposes, but you get the point here. Another important thing to mention about the custom template itself is that max tokens are set here, not down here. This max tokens that you can set from the little bar at the bottom of your Obsidian window only pertains to the default generation that we did in the first example of doing the bullet point list. When you are using custom templates, your max tokens are instead set here. So even though it says 500 down here, you can set this to 5,000 and it will generate accordingly. Now, of course, even though we had this at 1,000, the haiku that was generated was, I don't know, maybe 50 tokens at most. That's because we've limited the response to generating nothing but 2 haikus. Why? Well, because we specifically said 2 haikus. If we instead put generate haikus, it would then fill in all of the tokens it could possibly do within that 1,000 token max. Let's do another example here just to really push my point across. Once again, we're going to do a / custom, click the first link here. This time we're not going to remove anything from the context. We're just going to leave it as it is. And as for the instructions, instead of doing a bullet point list or generating haikus, let's really push the AI to its limits. Let's tell our assistive intelligence to create a song. Create a song that rhymes and make it sound like a Bon Jovi creation. Again, silly, but this really pushes forward the point of anything is possible. Let's click generate here. And this time, as you can see, it doesn't answer you right away because the answer is much longer than the previous 2 haiku generation. You're not going to see streaming. As long as it says processing, as you can see in the top right-hand corner, everything is working fine. One issue that I have found when I've reached a maximum token limit is that it will show processing for about 2 seconds and then disappear. That means your generation has failed. In this case, however, it's done. Let's see how good this song is here. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to sing it to you, but you can really see that everything here is written out just as a song would be. You have a chorus, which is the same. You have verses. You even have a bridge. I have no clue what that is because, again, I'm not a songwriter, but it seems our assistive intelligence is. We have an outro and finally an end chorus. So there you have it. I hope that my examples here have shed some light for you as to what the capabilities are and more importantly, how to access those capabilities. Once again, you can get this template along with many, many other useful templates on our Patreon. We also have a Discord community that I'm very active on, answering everyone's questions. I'd really appreciate it if you could like this video, subscribe, click the bell icon so that you get notifications whenever I do post a new video. And apart from that, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.